What's the deal, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate y'all spinning the block as always. I'm Bob Chosen. Today we got a Hunterl Nen Impact banger for y'all, man. Alright, so with the final roster being revealed in the opening cinematic, pretty much confirming every character that's going to be available in the game upon release, I thought I'd compile a list of characters that I assume are going to be in the game at some point, or that I would like to see in the game at some point. Not too much a prediction. This is pretty much more so like a DLC character wish list, if you will. So taking a look at the roster, this was the last screenshot of the roster that I had, missing the last 4 characters, which are Miriam, Morel, Razor, and Kite, which have all been confirmed by the opening cinematic. So now that we got our final roster that's available on release, let's take a look at some of the characters that potentially should have been in the game on release, or we thought we would have been seeing them on release, but unfortunately just didn't make the final roster for whatever reason may be. Some of the obvious ones that make sense, like some of the remaining Phantom Troupe members or some of the other Chimera Ants. So let's start with the obvious ones, right? All right, so Pito, right, should have been in the game on release. I feel like there's no reason for her not to be in the game, especially since you want to throw the Chimera Ants in there. She's probably the most important Chimera Ant outside of the king himself, right? That being said, if you put Kite in the game, I feel like this character goes hand in hand with Kite, whereas she's responsible for his death, so to speak. Spoiler, sorry. I feel like everybody's seen it by now. But yeah, once you go take that step to add Kite in the game, I feel like you got to add this character to match that sequence of events. So this is definitely the first character I think should be DLC. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how they fumbled that bag and didn't have her in the game on release. But when it comes to DLC or just potential characters that need to be added to the game, this character gotta be like high priority on the list. I feel like I think she's a fan favorite as well. A lot of people like this character. Her design is cool, you know what I mean? So definitely got to get her in there at some point. All right, so next up on the list, I gotta go Illumi from the Zoldyck family. This one I'm not as worried, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand why this character didn't make the roster on release. I don't know if he did enough in the series as Illumi himself to make a deserve a standalone roster spot on release, right? But I do feel like they need to get this character in the game at some point. It's been a lot of people in my comments requesting this character or saying they wish this character was available on release. He is one of the cooler characters in the series as well, and not just Illumi. I feel like the rest of the Zoldyck family members, or at least 2 or 3 of them, should make 2 out of 3 of them that we see actually fighting the show, that being Illumi, Zeno, and Silva, the father of Killua and the grandfather of Killua, need to make an appearance. Not all 3 of them need to be in there, but I feel like they gotta pick 2. Maybe if they just give us Illumi and Zeno. Silva is cool, but you know what I mean? I'm kind of not really. His one fight with Crollo didn't make me feeling like he needs to be. I feel like we saw Illumi more than we saw Silva in the actual show, right? And then we saw Zeno as well with the final arc and him having that relationship with Netero as well, and just being the OG Zoldyck grandpa and notorious for, you know what I mean, like the strongest of the family. Throw Zeno in there, throw Illumi in there. 2 members from the Zoldyck family at some point, man. Now I don't know how high these characters prioritize over some of the other characters that we'll get into later, but if they want to make this game a banger, they got to give us banger characters. Don't give us fodder characters. You know what I mean? Give us characters that people actually want, and this is a highly requested character, believe it or not. So Illumi for sure gotta make the roster at some point. I'm looking forward to it. And so the next character that I would say I could probably see end up being DLC or some point, I wouldn't even know if I would say I'll see this character being DLC. I would just more so say I'm surprised this character is not in the game, based off some of the other Phantom Troupe members they decided to put. And when I say other Phantom Troupe members, I mean Maki. Now I'm pro Maki, glad she's in the game, but I feel like this character was more involved in the series hands-on in terms of just showcasing fighting ability and then demonstration than Maki was. We never really saw her do much, but this character, like for that entire York New City arc, he was there, you know what I mean? He was frontlining. So to keep it a buck, I was surprised this character didn't make the final roster. He's a sword character, he's a counter character, so that right there, that usually mixes well with fighting games. So I can definitely see this character being added on later in the roster, or just at some point becoming DLC, just based off the fact that most of the Phantom Troopers in the game that actually fought in the show, one of the members didn't really even fight in the show, to be honest, but this character did, and he didn't make the roster. So Yeah, kind of. He was one of the strongest characters in the Phantom Troupe, if I'm not mistaken. So that right there alone, I feel like he deserves his spot. He did enough in himself for me to say he earned his standalone spot. So I'm not like, I'm not a huge fan of the character, but I can definitely see him being in the game, and I feel like he deserves a spot. So yeah, Nobunaga, gotta lock him in at some point. It's only right. It's only fair. Now to round things off with the Hunter x Hunter characters that I think should have been in the game or should be DLC, or that I will hope to see or DLC, I'm gonna go with two that I don't really mind not being in the game, but I could see someone making a case for them, and that being Knuckle and Shoot, right? I feel like these characters did enough and did like a lot of Nen demonstrations, showcase their abilities well enough to earn themselves a spot on the roster eventually. I don't know what they did or if they're popular enough characters to deserve a roster spot on release, but I feel like at some point they could work themselves into being good additions to the game. A lot of people are fans of these characters. A lot of people have requested these characters, more so Knuckles specifically. Shoot's ability is kind of weird. I don't know how that will work in the game, but these characters are characters I could see like, all right, if they wanted to, they could add these characters in the game and there could be like, decent enough spots. Now, I'm not saying they should be high on the priority list, but I feel like as we get down the road and we add like the main essentials and the, who's, and we start needing a couple other characters just to fill out, on the back end, you could potentially see these two characters pop up. That's not saying they're going to be there for sure, but I could see, like I said earlier, I could see someone making a case for Knuckle and Shoot to be in the game. So those are some of the base characters from Hunter x Hunter I would like to see, or just I could understand seeing appear in the game at some point, whether that be a DLC appearance or just updates or whatever the case may be, right? I could see it makes sense to me, it makes sense for those characters to be in the game eventually. Some of them more so than others. Like I feel like some of those should have been in the game on release, and some of them are kind of just like characters that, you could just throw in there just to add to the roster and give people variety. But as far as Hunter x Hunter characters, I think those are it, right? But now as far as the game itself, right? This is a 2D fighter, and if you have been following the fighting game genre within the last couple of years, one of the most popular things in terms of, future content or extra DLC is guest characters, right? Now, hear me out. Hold on. I know what y'all thinking, right? This is a Hunter x Hunter. It's an anime IP licensed game. They can't take guest characters from another, series or anything else for that nature and just add it to the game, because it wouldn't make sense, right, to bring in other guest characters in the game that's based off of anime, revolves around the anime, is centered around the anime. What guest characters are they really going to pull? And I said the same thing at first, like, no way we'll see guest characters. And even though guest characters in fighting games are probably like the most hype, announcements and, can make a game way better or make the future content way better. But I was like, there's no way we can see guest characters in this. The couple of DLC characters we may or may not get, we'll be lucky to get those. But I feel like this roster is just so small, and it's like, in terms of longevity, bro, you need to add characters to the roster, bro. You need to give people variety and not just have them play the same, 6 couple characters or 8 popular characters in the game for so long. But in terms of guest characters, I'm like this, bro. What if they could really come through, bro, and deliver the most banger guest character pack of all time, bro, right? It is a crazy reach, bro, but hear me out. Now, this is all biasy talking, because I personally believe YuYu Hakusho is one of my personal top 3 animes, right? And I would love to see it have its own game or whatever. I don't think it's big enough in this day and age to deserve its own console release or anything like that, or any new game. And I think it's just its legendary status is cemented, and it is what it is. But this game, this Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact game, has to chance to really rebirth the franchise and just give us a taste of what a YuYu Hakusho, like, well put together fighting game could have been, bro, if they add a YuYu Hakusho DLC pack, bro. I'm not asking for much, bro. It's not a crazy reach if you think about it. The mangaka for Hunter x Hunter, Tagashi, is the same manga who created YuYu Hakusho. Both of the series are very similar. I feel like the abilities will incorporate well, and the characters don't have to be a crazy reach in terms of fighting game. You give us a 4-pack of DLC characters featuring Yusuke, Kuwabara, Hiei, and Kurama, bro, and I feel like we are good, we are set. And I don't think this game, bro, and I mean, I don't think this, like, this DLC, or if this was to be a DLC, I don't think it needs to prioritize anything, you know what I mean, over the original Hunter x Hunter franchise, right? Let that all come out. This doesn't need to be a priority. This doesn't need to release. I'm not saying it should release within the first year or the second year of the game, but I feel like eventually, as we go down the road and we get all the key essential characters out the way, bro. Some games are doing it very early where they're introducing guest characters, right? But you know, everything has a season pass attached to it, and I don't think that'll be the case for this game. At least I would hope not. I don't see how they could pull off a season pass in a game like this. But I do think 1 year, 2 years down the road, when we got all the key essential Hunter x Hunter characters added into the game, if they do want to, this is all based on the fact if they really want to produce, you know, a nice contingent DLC output for this game. If that's not the case, then all this could be like just me yapping nonsense, bro. But if they do want to go the route of pushing out DLC frequently for this game, I feel like you take the first year or two and you add the key essential Hunter x Hunter characters that everyone is requesting, everyone's asking for, that everyone who loves the franchise will want to play with. And then once you get through that, and you want to add that extra umph to the game, you drop the YuYu Hakusho DLC pack, man, and it's bangers on top of bangers on top of bangers, bro. You feel me? I don't think it's a reach. This is all me being biased, bro. I love the Yu Hakusho franchise. I like Hunter x Hunter too, bro, but in terms of Yu Hakusho, there's levels to it, man. So, but yeah, definitely bring in some type of, it'll definitely bring in some type of juice, some type of umph to the game, especially once we get through all the base characters, you know what I mean? Like, if you still want to continue to put out content for this game, but it's like, instead of giving us like throwaway characters, like the guys from the arena arc or whatever, like the guy in the wheelchair and all that, bro, like just give us, you know, don't give us non-important characters. If they want to add something extra to the game, bro, not saying that they will, this is for sure the route to go. I can see a lot of OG Yu Hakusho fans coming just to play that, man. That's just my 2 cents on it. Not saying it'll happen. If they don't go that route, I completely understand why. But just me as a fan of both shows, I would love to see them incorporate that little DLC in there. There was actually rumors when this game first got announced that it would be a Hunter x Hunter cross Yu Hakusho fighter. Now, I don't know how, you know, reliable or how, you know, close those rumors were to being true, but there was a lot of, you know, information being spread about this being like a Hunter x Hunter / Yu Hakusho fighter, and that was like hype on top of hype, man. But it turned out that wasn't the case. It was just Hunter x Hunter, so somebody was completely capping, or they just got fed misinformation, and a lot of us believed it, or, you know, kind of wanted to wait to see what actually happened, and that's not what happened. But nonetheless, though, those are my predictions and wish list, well, more so wish list for DLC characters for Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact, man. There's a lot of different routes they could take. And all this, like I said earlier, is if that's what they want to do. If they want this game to stay alive for a long time and actually put, you know, well, you know, a lot of DLC into it to keep it going for, you know, a long amount of time. And I feel like that's the only way to do it with a 2D fighter. A 2D fighter is pretty cut and dry. You know what I mean? Like, the gameplay is the gameplay. It's not much you can expand on, right? But if you want to add something fresh and keep people, you know, locked in, you add new characters to it and you keep the, you know, to keep the energy going. So, but yeah, let me know what y'all think, bro. Who are some characters I missed or didn't go over that y'all think either A, need to be in the game, should have been on the game release, or for sure need to be added as DLC? I think I covered most of them as far as like the requests that I've been seeing a lot of, but if there's anyone out there I missed, y'all let me know in the comments, man. How y'all feel about my, you know, my YuYu Hakusho conspiracy theory? And I feel like they need to throw that in there as the guest pass DLC pack. Am I tripping? Am I tripping on my own or something, man? But let me know in the comments how y'all feel. That's it for today, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in as always. I'm Vibe Choji, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Let's get it, yo.